This is Julia Coddington from Sydney, Australia, bringing you Women in Street Stories. This is a joint Women in Street Stories and Unexposed Collective event where we've got our Australian street photographers coming together from different parts of Australia. We've done Women in Street Stories in Perth, we've done them in Melbourne, and we're doing them in Sydney. And we're bringing together our women and non-binary street photographers and interviewing them so that you can get to know a little bit about them, and also a little bit about our beautiful cities. And today we have a beautiful sunny day here in Sydney at Bondi Beach.
So Deb, tell us a little bit more about how you got into street photography, how long you've been doing it.
Sure. I've been shooting street for about 10 years. I used to be a reporter for about 14 years. So for me, street photography was a way of documenting stories on the weekends. I love the spontaneity of the street. I love that it's not set up and it's just life unraveling in front of you, and you never know what you're going to get.
And what is it about street photography that keeps you coming back for more and to Pitt Street Mall as well?
I think it's the spontaneity. You're at the mercy of the elements, the light, what's happening on the street, who's about. So it's very exciting when you get that shot of that great person, great light. You never know what you're going to get, and there's not many surprises in life. So I think street photography is a real gem of a genre of photography.
And tell us more about Pitt Street Mall. I hear this is your hunting ground.
It is when I'm in Sydney. I actually do most of my shooting in Melbourne, but I do live in Sydney and Bondi. So I come to Pitt Street Mall now more so on weekends, where there's a real mix of people out. So obviously less office workers and more people from all over Sydney. So it's a great mix of people. Pitt Street Mall is quite the gathering spot. So you'll have people that are kind of in the same spot for a little while to give you a bit of an opportunity to frame your shot. It's the weekend, so everyone's very happy that they're not at work, so a lot of smiles, everyone's in a good mood. There's a lot of construction going on in Sydney, as we all know, but Pitt Street Mall is one of those places where it's still kind of relatively clean. A lot of advertising and billboards around, but that can sometimes work to your advantage. So it's for Sydney, it's just a great place where people come together.
So we're in Hyde Park currently talking to Rosie English, who's actually from Ireland.
And is now in Australia.
Rosie has an obsession with Leicas. So tell us a little bit about how you got into street photography.
Well, I think it was more about just getting into photography about 4 or 5 years ago, because I've always been interested in 19th century photography and I suppose people, and getting a camera was really the opportunity to capture moments, and realizing that it was just, I suppose I love people and life and what's going on, and capturing those moments to me probably, as well as my love of art. So it's a combination of a whole different things, and it's just evolved organically, really.
Yeah. And where's your favorite place to shoot?
Anywhere, really. I suppose anywhere where there's light and people. So anywhere, yeah. I mean, I live in the eastern suburbs, so I do a lot on street photography on the beach. There's no such thing as beach photography, but yeah, so a lot of the people around the beaches and life around there, yeah.
What do you like about women-only forums, such as Unexposed and Women in Street?
Well, there's no ego, for a start. And we're coming at it from I think women are the best street photographers because we come at it, nobody minds us around, particularly in this day and age, and we're just a lot gentler and more empathic because street photography is really about people, and women are greater communicators with people and understanding of people. So I think they just capture more intimate moments that maybe men, particularly in this day and age, would not be able to do, or not even have the feeling to do. It's a different, it's a whole different thing.
Have you ever encountered any problems on a street?
No. I mean, occasionally, you'll have some street people who are like, don't take my photograph. Very, very, very rarely, and that's more them communicating in a bizarre sort of way. It's not even me about taking the photograph. It's almost, I just feel it's about something different. But no, I don't have any problems.
Okay, we're here with world-renowned photographer Meg Hewitt. Meg, tell us a little bit about how you got into photography and what you do.
Well, I originally trained as a painter. I took up photography in 2011 as a hobby, and just sort of blossomed from there. I bought a camera and used to go out at night and wander the streets rather than sitting in a bar drinking beer.
Tell us a little bit about your photography in Tokyo.
So I spent 2 years photographing in Tokyo, making my book Tokyo Is Yours. I love Tokyo. It's an amazing place. The more you go there, the more you delve into the layers of the culture, and they have an incredible resilience as well after the 2011 earthquake. The amount of danger that they were presented with in terms of the nuclear disaster and proximity to Tokyo is incredible.
Have you, through photography, learnt about the culture and met people locally? And
the Japanese have a great tradition of photography. Some of my favourite photographers are from there, and they have great support networks. They have bars and cafes and restaurants which are dedicated just to photography, and photographers meet there and talk. And
photography has been the way you've sort of melded into the culture and the community. And
I've only really known Japan through going there for my project. I've been there over 9 times now.
And tell us a little bit how you got involved in these women-only forums, so Unexposed or Women in Street.
So mainly through Instagram and online. I've noticed the strength of women photographers presenting their work in groups, and it's a great thing to see.
Who would be your dream photo walk companion, and where would it be?
I like to make photos by myself, so I love taking photos with people being the subject, but I find it really hard walking around with another photographer. But I love meeting people and going to exciting places and finding crazy scenarios, situations. So I think someone like Ernest Hemingway would be amazing. He'd introduce you to all the fun people in town.
I'd love to be like A Night in Paris, the movie.
Yeah, or imagine Cuba in the 1950s with Hemingway.
Here we are going to Paula Broom in front of St. Mary's Cathedral. Paula, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into street photography.
Okay, I'm an artist. I work in sculpture, installation and photography, and I also run Instagram as Sydney, and I suppose it's through Instagram as Sydney, walking around Sydney, that I got into street photography.
Yeah. And why do you enjoy street photography?
It's accessible and it's fun, and it's a really good way of connecting yourself to place. And I'm from the UK. I mean, I've been here 20 years now, so obviously I'm very embedded in Sydney, but it is a great way of discovering your city, your place, and the people in it.
Yeah. Have you done street photography in other countries, and
yes.
How do they compare?
The light here, of course, is quite special, and I think that's the first thing I've noticed. I've done some street photography in Tokyo, in Japan, and that's kind of a little bit different. There's lots of bright colours, it's very reflective. And then also in the UK, and that really very much depends on the weather conditions, so that can be quite challenging actually, in my home country, which is surprising, but that's quite a challenge. Yeah.
Where has been your favourite place to do street?
I think here,
Yeah.
I do like it here. I love the light, and because I like lots of shadows and bright lights and that high contrast. So
Yeah.
it works for me.
Yeah. How did you get involved in sort of Women in Street, and what do you think about women-only forums like Women in Street and Unexposed?
I really like it. Nowadays, I tend to find that I'll go to an event and count the number of women there. It's become a bit of an obsession. But so I like the fact that they're all women here and I'm not surrounded by a whole heap of men. I went to an Insta-meet once and there were 5 women and 32 men.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not, that doesn't faze me that much, but I just like being around women. We tend to look at things slightly similar way. It's more emotional behind the work. There's a lot more emotion rather than kit and technology. Does that make sense? I'm not,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being a blanket statement, but that's generally what I find.
Yeah.
Really inspired by Andrew Quilty and what he's doing in Afghanistan at the moment. Just really amazing what he's uncovering, you know, the kind of result of our Western actions over in the Middle East, and a place that not many female photographers get to visit. So yes, I think that would be my dream.
Take photographs. I have done pretty much forever, on and off. Many years ago I worked as a chef and that was sort of my introduction into working, but then that came to an end some time back. Since then I've had 2 kids and now I sort of have a different life. But what I do like about taking photographs is it makes me get out, makes me get onto the street, makes me look around at people. I like looking at the quirky things.
And how did you get into street photography?
Just did it, basically. Just took a camera and I did a few workshops, and you know, one thing led to another, and you know, with the help of Instagram, which gets your work out there, that's kind of how I did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what is it about street photography that you love and keeps you coming back?
Oh well, it's very accessible and it gives you a real insight into the actual place that you're photographing. Gives you an insight into people, actually, how some people are very self-conscious, some people just aren't, and I think it kind of it shows you you know, an interesting way of looking at people.
What do you like about women-only forums such as Unexposed and Women in Street?
It's easy, it's comfortable, and I was just talking to someone earlier on about it today, thinking about this, contemplating this question, and especially with something like photography, is that, you know, we don't get bogged down too much in the technical side of everything. We just do it because we enjoy it, and technical side of course is there, but it's not like up foremost.
Yeah.
And the gear and the lenses and everything else. It's a comfortable sort of bunch to be with.
Okay, go. So, who would be your dream photo walk companion and where would it be?
My dream photo walking companion, probably Michelle Rick, the village girl. She's based in New York, does a lot of work around New York and Coney Island. I like the vibrance, the colour, the different subjects. You know, it's great. It's exciting. It's different. The emotions, just like Luna Park, but better.
Hey, it's Julia again. We're still at Bondi Beach, and we're just wrapping up our
Women in Street Stories brought to you from Unexposed in Sydney, Australia. Thank you very much for watching and thank you for your support.